Hey guys, we're back in the next series of tutorials in JavaScript, and today I really wanted to talk about how to use JQuery to manipulate the document object model. So pretty much, what is a document object model? The document object model, according to W3 schools, the document object model is a platform and a language neutral interface that allows programs and scripts to dynamically access and update content, structure, and style of a document. That means there is no specific language that can be used to manipulate DOM. It's language neutral. Okay, so today I'm just gonna have a simple concept here, and I'm gonna show you this sidebar I actually made. Looks funny with the items in it, but it's a pretty dope one, and it's constructed using JQuery and JQuery, pretty much JQuery, most of it, and it's a dynamic sidebar. So when I reload my page and it asks me how many items do you want, I just need to place the number of items here. I want, let's say, 3 items, and the first item I want to have banana, and to have an orange and an apple. So after I have those items, you can see them here. It's dynamic, and once you click one of them, it displays the text in the item. So like this, it displays orange, it displays apple. Simple lines of code. I think there's something to do with this to this, this to here. There are a lot of white spaces, so let me clear the white spaces so that you can see the code well. Cancel. I want to clear so that you can see the code well, and it's pretty much consisting of functions I've written, pure functions and some impure functions. So a pure function pretty much accepts a value, returns a value, and does not alter the initial state of an object. Yes, an object, and that's pretty much its use. Yes, so it does not mutate an object. It's actually immutable. It does not mutate any object or change the state of any object. So the first thing I did was actually to have my style sheet. I will actually have done this, but due to time, I'm actually gonna explain each and every code here. Not each and every code does. So first step, I set my outer container, and so that I can explain well, let me just bring this to the foreground, and let me start it up again. This cool package called Atom Live Server. So let me have 3 items and have orange, banana. No, let me spell that one, but it's okay. Okay, have that there. So this first step was to actually have this padding of the container set to 0, so items are pretty much close to each other and they're not away from each other, reducing the space needed for the actual sidebar. Border 2 pixel solid black. You can actually see there's a 2 pixel border here of the container, even if it enlarges or decreases in size, and there's a width of 200 pixels. So from here to here it's around 200 pixels, and this is a static width, so pretty much has to be fluid, and I figured 200 pixels is pretty much small, so you just need it to be displayed on top of your screen. And then background color sky blue, that's so you can see the background, it has like a shade of background colors. You may wonder what this is for. You may wonder what actually the background colors are for, but it's just to give my page a pretty good give my sidebar a pretty good my drop down menu a pretty good appearance. The border radius of 5 pixels that actually creates these corners in my div, and position fixed means that even if there's content, when you scroll down it remains in its initial position. It's like it's fixed to the screen. And every item inside the container, giving it a margin of 0 pixels so that I can control the margin of each item without it having a default value of margin. So when you look at the menu, so the menu is pretty much this part where this stuff underlies. So a menu is pretty much an ordered list I created, so you can just step to the actual HTML. A smaller part, this is just the HTML I used, small part. So there's this menu, and this menu is the one that I've targeted here. So it takes a line center, so each and every item center of it, as you can see. This one I don't even need, I don't think it's needed. Let me have one item here. Yeah, it's not needed, it's actually not needed. So the list style none, so this ordered list and all of the items here are actually list items, and in order for me to remove the dots or the points that are before the name of the list item or before the text that's in front of the list item, I had to put the list style none and the height 0 pixels so that I can actually change that when I want to toggle my sidebar. So it needs to go to 0 pixels and then return back and stuff like that. So initially it has to be 0 pixels so that you can have a clear menu that isn't already open, so you have to open it for yourself. And the visibility initially is hidden so that this part is actually hidden. The menu list items. So the font, I've actually had a font of a family of sans serif, so this is actually the font. The color is actually white initially, font weight bold, and width is 99%, that you can actually fit perfectly in my drop down menu. Margin 0 pixels so that it can actually be compact and actually fit the exact position of set it to. Background color to black, text align center, carefully center lines its text, and then padding of 2 pixels so that you can create a kind of a space between the texts. Cursor pointer, and the button pretty much is this menu part. So I've actually text transformed it to uppercase instead of me actually uppercasing stuff. I just like to automate it. And then text align, it has to be center, and font weight bold, and the cursor has to be a pointer, so you can see the cursor is pointer. Okay, the LI hover, so pretty much this is the special effects that come through when you hover through a list item, and every time you hover through it changes color to the actual color of the container, and that's sky blue, and then change its font color to black. When you remove it, then reverts the font color to white and background color to black. So that's it for the CSS part. So let's jump right into the JavaScript part, and that's the most amazing part of this automated drop down menu. So this drop down menu can apply it in the real world applications when you want actually to make an e-commerce website and you're fetching data, maybe using AJAX requests or even Firebase that I showed you in my other tutorials. So you fetch data from Firebase, you have a function, a pure function, get the data from the Firebase, place it maybe in an array, or even place it directly into the sidebar as you wish, because you've already done styling. So all you need is just append data in the sidebar, in the drop down menu. I mean, this can actually be also the drop down menu can actually be automated by using a front-end library called React. And I will advise, if you like JavaScript enough, or if you want to pursue JavaScript in a much broad way, just go for React or something like that. Okay, so this part, as I explained in the last tutorial, is where we have the document.ready function, and this is where it actually tells the page do this after you finish loading all the HTML content and all scripts that are before me. Okay, so it has to first load the JQuery, a minified version, which we later on use here, and then we have a constant variable that holds our menu object that is found in the document object model. It's actually a tree like structure where all our objects are placed, and then immediately the page loads, it does a slide toggle. Though you don't see it, it does a slide toggle, so that actually slides it immediately. And I've set its time limit to 0 milliseconds, so that it's done pretty much fast, though you'll never see it anyway. Just 300 milliseconds. It's just for the purpose of being clear. Okay, so we have the button, and then when you click this button, it actually changes a lot of stuff in the menu object. So it actually changes the CSS, the height, and places auto, and the visibility places visible, and then it slides toggle with milliseconds of 300 milliseconds, so that it can actually create this animated effect. So when you click, it slides up, when you click again, it slides down. So that enables the user experience to be pretty much great when you're working with that. So the next part is actually more business logic rather than user interface logic. So this is where you actually have, when I add an item, when I click here, it actually tells me the text in my list item. So first of all, I had a set click function, and then it accepted the item argument. So this is ES6 syntax, so that's ECMAScript 6 syntax, and it's not pretty much common in all the browsers. I'm just using it to demonstrate whatever we need to learn. So if you see something that is not familiar, it's just ES6 syntax. So this is actually a function parameter, and this item takes the item here, the object, and then sets its click function to alert whatever text it has. So the next function is the get item. So this actually does this. It actually gets text from the list item, and as you can see, the list item is empty. You can even remove this so that it can't just need to do that again. Okay, one item or two items that you can display item. So I'm gonna have let me have a banana, an orange, yes, and you can see it changed. This actually gets items that we've actually placed using the next function I'm going to talk about, and then logs it to the screen. So this log is just a testing purpose. So I actually log whatever text I get to the screen. So this is actually not pretty much needed. The next step is actually having a loop and adding items. So that's it for this tutorial. Until next time, happy coding.